Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Brandt, and I'm going to be delivering the next session. I'm going to be talking about Pearson English Connect, which is what you just saw a video on 2 seconds ago. Do say hello to me in the chat box so that I know you're receiving me. I know you can see me, that you can hear me. Also, perhaps tell me where you're calling in from. That would be great as well. Hello there, Rena in Ukraine. I've got my blue and yellow colors on today. And it's your Independence Day as well. So I wish you congratulations for that. Hello, Latvia. Hello there, Croatia, Lithuania. Wow, Switzerland. Okay. Hello. Wow, lots and lots of different countries. In fact, there are many hundreds of people here actually. About 600 people here today. So it's going to be tough for me to follow the chat box, but I'm going to do my best. Hello there in Georgia as well, Montenegro. Lovely. Okay, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm not going to be able to mention you all by name, but I'm very happy that you've decided to join us today. Okay. So in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to be giving you I've called it a discovery session and an introductory session on Pearson English Connect, which is our new digital platform, which has just come out in the summer. I'm going to talk about the functions of the platform, some of the benefits it brings, and I'm going to be looking inside the platform too. If you're a Pearson user of prospective user, of course, it's like Roadmap, Gold Experience, or Formula, and others, then you will have gained access to this platform in the summer. It will be in your Pearson English Portal account if you have one. Okay. Okay, good. So let me begin then by sharing my screen. Okay, if I can just get my presentation view up, that would be lovely. Okay, good. So just to get the ball rolling, it'd be good to hear a bit of your context. So perhaps you could pop in the chat box any digital platforms or learning management systems you might use at the moment, perhaps something to project your course book or to set your students' homework and check their results. Anything you like about it, and anything perhaps you miss in your current platform. So I've got some Moodles in there, some Teams as well. My English Lab, okay, so it's a Pearson platform. Zoom, okay, well, we're using Zoom today, aren't we? A video conferencing tool. You might sometimes use Zoom in conjunction with another platform, Moodle, Google Meet. Okay. So yeah, I think we're giving a mixture of video conferencing tools and learning management systems. We're actually going to be talking about them today, which includes both of those things. Okay, which is the case with Connect. Okay, lovely. Okay, presentation features, that's an important one, isn't it? Being able to present. Yeah, agree with you there. Zoom in, it's okay. Okay, loads. Well, let's move on. So there's currently a process of digital acceleration going on, I would say, in the world at large, in society, certainly in education. And this was sped up during the 2 years of pandemic. I think we all upped our digital skills, our online teaching skills. I know I did. Okay, and I'd like to just mention some research that Pearson carried out among its customers, PLS customers, and also among Pearson staff as well, into what teachers' main concerns or needs were in this process of digital acceleration, which we're currently experiencing. And teachers said that they wanted platforms that would maintain student engagement, which is something important with the added distance as well. And another thing that they wanted was being able to monitor students. Again, with the distance aspect, sometimes you find yourself asking the question, have they got that? Have they understood? Do I know how they're doing? Okay. Concerns like that. Many customers as well needed to run a hybrid business with some of their lessons face-to-face and other ones online. Okay, so those were some of our findings from that research. Okay. So the platform which I'm going to demonstrate today, Pearson English Connect, its aims were to address those needs. All right. So I'm going to talk about some of its features and benefits for three sort of sectors or three groups, for students, for teachers, and for institutions as well. Okay. Okay. So, why might you use Pearson English Connect? Well, it's designed to build learners' confidence. How does it do that? The first feature, or signature feature, as I've called it here, is that the platform's optimized for mobiles and tablets. Okay, so it can be used online, but it can also be used, students can access it on their mobile phone. So some families don't have computers, as we found in the lockdown, but most do have at least one mobile phone. It's a format that students want to use, and kids don't go anywhere without and adults as well. I know it's my case, don't go anywhere without their mobile phone. So it means you can keep learning wherever they are and do smaller bits, smaller bite-sized chunks, rather than the traditional sitting at your desk for hours. The next signature feature then, all of the content is interactive. So with the student's book and the digital workbook, if you like, the online practice, all of the activities are interactive and are auto-graded. There's also a virtual classroom. So I mentioned this before. We're using Zoom today, as you can see, in conjunction with PowerPoint in the background. But this platform actually has its own video conferencing tool, which we're going to go into detail about later on. Okay, and everything you do in the platform then is saved as well. There's a persistent state, so it's always this. You always pick up where you left off. Okay, and the third signature feature for learners is that it's supposed to motivate them. There's like gamification. Students get rewards when they've, for example, got all the answers right, and they've got detailed readouts of everything they do in the platform, so they can see how they're progressing, how they're improving, and what they need to do to improve. Okay. I'm going to talk about the platform from a teacher's perspective as well. Okay, so then as I mentioned, the learner's ebook, so the digital student's book, if you like, and the online practice, which you might consider to be the digital work, but they're fully interactive and they all report to a gradebook. So everything the student does is recorded. The presentation tool, so you showing the course book in your classroom or in your online lesson, and the student's ebook are the same. That's not been the case for some platforms in the past, and it can create confusion, but here the view is identical. And you'll see there's lots of ways to navigate through the content and more accessibility features than ever. Again, we'll go into detail later on, but students with certain special educational needs, those needs have been taken into account. All right. Good. So as we said, there's a online virtual classroom. So the virtual classroom has tools like you might expect, things like breakout rooms and the whiteboard, but it also has features you might not know of or might not expect, such as ability to ask students questions or assign work in the virtual classroom. And you can also upload your own content to the platform. Including in the test generator. You can use the architecture of the test generator to put in your own questions should you need to. Okay, good. So the live assignments then in the virtual classrooms really are a unique feature. I think this is the first platform with such a capability. And there's also one single platform where everything is housed, so that that be students' book, e-reader, online homework, video conferencing tool. It's all in one place. Okay, and that leads me to the last point. Everything being in one place removes stress, and it makes hybrid teaching easier as well. Okay. And as well, I should mention that the content is also available offline. So the ebooks available offline. You can download content, and then that will synchronize once you have connectivity again. Okay, so the question is, what are the hotspots? I'll show you when we go into the platform in a second, Maureen. Okay. yeah, and Yvonne, I get you. Those 2 years for all of us, I think, have left their mark. I can see where you're coming from there. Finally, some considerations for institutions, perhaps you're a PLS owner, for example. So it allows sort of different business models, perhaps opening up the chance to employ teachers or to attract students who are further away because of the online teaching capability that comes with the platform. And we do hope as well that it will reduce stress for teachers and remove barriers for them with the fact that everything is in one place and it's user friendly. Okay, good. So I'm going to go into the platform now, just to have a look at the presentation tool to begin with. Okay, so let me just get to my browser of choice, and I'm going to put english.com/login. Okay. In we go. Okay, so my alter ego here is Agatha Trunchbull. I'm quite a big Matilda fan. We listened to the whole ebook in the car this summer. It went down very well. I do recommend it. Okay, here we go. So this is the Pearson English portal. If any of you work with Pearson, you might recognize it. Now, I've got all of the courses under the sun in here. So it's a little bit chock-a-block. Yours won't be quite so much. I'm going to go into the Pearson English Connect button. And let's see. Let me just get a sip of water while it loads. I'm calling in from the mountains in Miraflores de la Sierra, just north of Madrid today. So my internet connection is quite fast, but not super fast. So some of the pages might take just a little bit of time to load. Now I've got, again, don't be alarmed by all the content I've got in my account. I use this for demos, and I'm going to go into roadmap today. Let's have a look. I don't want demos. So the demos were available before the platform was published this summer. I'm going to go into the B1 students book. Okay. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to select a lesson, which is 2A. This is the lesson we're going to look at today. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to click F11 for my full screen. Okay, so this this then is the page. Imagine that I'm going to be teaching my students today. It's the first lesson of the second unit of the course. I'm going to click on the light bulb to get an overview of the lesson. Let's just see what the lesson's about. Describing past experiences, and the grammar they're going to need for that is the past simple and past continuous. I've also got a warm-up activity suggested for me here, and you can see they're going to be looking at adjectives of feeling too. Okay, so let's close the light bulb. So if you want to go deeper into the teacher's notes, they're available from here as well by clicking on the icon. Okay, so the teacher's book is connected to the teacher's presentation tool as well. Okay, for the student, the view is the same, except some of the buttons they don't have. For example, the teacher's notes, of course. Okay, so now you might want to make the content a little bit bigger. If you're projecting this onto a board, there's different ways of doing that. You can look at the one-page view, okay, as like so, or you can also click on the teacher's tools and go to a magnifying glass and zoom in and out. Okay, so that's how you zoom. In terms of, now somebody asked questions about hotspots. So to get into an activity, there are different ways of getting into an activity and doing an interactive activity. You can sort of kind of hover over the hotspot on the side of the board. Then you wouldn't need to kind of walk in front of the board in the class, I suppose. You can hover over the activities. There's also what's called up here a lesson flow. So if I just click on an activity, I've clicked on number 1, I can scroll through the activities using the lesson flow. And I don't see the full page view here, but I'm just flicking through the activities. I always go home to go back to the main page, like so. And there's also a table of contents as well where the activities are. So there's lots of different ways to navigate around the page depending on what suits you best. So I'm going to actually go into an activity. Let's go into the first one. Let's click on activity number 1. Okay. So the students then have to say what's happening in each photo and then say how they think the people are feeling using the adjectives in the box. So I do this with one, if I was doing this in class, I'd do this with, and I always do an example with one student first before sending off in pairs. So I might see if a student could tell me what's happening in photo A and how they think that man is feeling. Okay, which of the adjectives they would use, and then get them to talk about the pictures in pairs. To follow up there, I would like the students to see if they can use the pictures. Okay, so you're giving me the answers. Great, thanks, Guadalupe. Says A is probably annoyed to get a parking ticket. But now I do want your input, because I'm going to use the scoreboard tool. So what I'm going to say is, imagine we've done the activity. Now I am going to say an adjective, and I want you to show that you've understood it by giving me a sentence. So for example, if I say annoyed, you could write in the chat box, I felt really annoyed when my football team lost at the weekend, and I was angry all day, I was annoyed. Okay, that might show me that you understood the word annoyed. So you give me a sentence using it in a context. Now, we're going to do this as a little competition. So if your name begins with A to L, so Guadalupe, that would be you, for example, you're in team A. If your name begins with M to Z, so that would be Natalia, for example, you're in team B. Okay. Now, the first person to give me a sentence showing they understand the word wins a point for their team. Okay. So you're going to write in the chat box. So tell me a time you were frightened. Let's see if these teachers understand the word frightened. Okay, I was frightened last night, but I'm not sure that shows me that you understood the threat, understood the word. When I saw a huge spider in the living room, came Molly. So that gives me an example of being frightened. So I'm going to give that point to Molly Johnson. She was the first one in my chat box to show she understood. Well done, Molly. Now your name begins with an M, so you got a point for team B. Excellent work. Okay, and lots of great examples. Yeah, storms. I was writing when I saw a spider and I saw a strange noise. When war broke out, I totally understand you. Okay, let's go on to another example. I'm going to go to amazed. Let's see if anyone understands the word amazed. I was amazed when I saw Big Ben. Okay, it's quite a big clock, isn't it? And that was, is it Matija or Matija? I'm not sure how to pronounce the J. But anyway, your name begins with an M, so you're going to get a point for team B as well. Okay, I think you catch my amazed by how quickly my learners learn. That's a great one. Anyway, I think you catch my drift here. I'm just trying to show an example of what I might use the scoreboard for. I mean, here it's an online lesson, it's in the chat box, but you know, you can use this in the face-to-face classroom, of course. Oh, beautiful sunset. Okay, some lovely sentences in here. Thanks, Beata. Okay. And I was amazed when I saw an elephant in the street. I would be too. Oh, 4-year-old son told my 6-year-old daughter that wearing a seatbelt was non-negotiable. That's brilliant. Because of the responsibility, I've got children of a similar age. And if they did they use the word non-negotiable? That's amazing for a 4-year-old. Okay, guys. Right. Okay. So scoreboard. Fine. Just wanted to demonstrate that tool. I'm going to go back to the home page. Okay. And this time I'm going to go to an activity which has closed. Let's say I'm going to uncheck. Whoops, I'm going to reset because I did this activity before. Right. So this is an activity with closed answers. There's right or wrong. I'm just going to close my teacher's tool there. So I'm going to just fill them in really quickly. So I'm going to try and get almost all of them right. Okay. Okay, I think if my B1 English is right, I should have got them all but one right here. Okay. Okay, let's have a look how I've done. Ah, I got the last one wrong. Okay, so of course a student could come up to the board and do this in a classroom. They can also do it, uh, you know, on their tablets as well. I can uncheck the answers, correct my wrong answer, check them again, and I've got them all right. And I've got a little reward. I've got a star for getting them right. You get a different reward based on how quickly you get them all right. Ivona said, "Where are the results displayed?" So Ivona, to answer that question, I just used the score tool. So that's a tool that the teacher can bring out as here. You can add on teams, you can change their names, I think, as well. And I updated that manually. It's just a score tool to, if you want to bring in some competition into the class. And I was editing the results. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. Anyway, so we've got our we've done our activity, and I want to show you the top right, the lesson report. Again, the teacher has this for the presentation tool, but the students have it in their books as well, their digital books, and they can see how they get a report on the lesson. So, I mean, I've actually had 5 attempts on that activity I just showed you. I got an award for getting them right, I think, second time round. I got no mistakes in my last go, and I got 2 mistakes in my overall. Okay. So, and I can also see what percentage of the activities I've done as well, and what I've got left to do. So this sort of thing is good for autonomous learning, of course, but the teacher also has a grade book where they have access to everything the student's done as well. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the home page. Okay. Now, if I shrink, just show a couple of other things. If I shrink my browser, you can see on the right here that the content kind of resizes. It is optimized for other devices. Okay. We're going to look at some other tools as well. If we go back to the teachers tools, now as you'd expect, there's there's pens and markers to highlight words, or to get students to highlight and underline and find words. I can also reset all of that. But those tools are also can be used on the whiteboard. So here I'm going to the whiteboard, and I've just demonstrated that a little bit. So you can write, of course. Okay. Oh, I'll just answer the question before I move on, because somebody asked the question. How many times can students complete one and the same task? Multiple times. Okay, it's a good question. So on the teacher's front of class tool, the teacher can do the activity and then click show answers immediately. The students can do an activity 5 times, and then they are revealed. The answers are revealed to them after 5 goes. Okay, so maybe you want them to try again. We always say to students, we got some wrong, we'll give it another go. But after 5 goes, perhaps they're not going to get any more right, and maybe there's something they don't understand. So it's beneficial to show them the answers then. Okay, so in answer to your question, 5 times, and then we can see the answer. Of course, when we have access, we see how many goes they've had in our grade book. Okay. So this is not at the moment, Justina. You can't edit that at the moment. It's not. Might be a future feature, but it's not the case at the moment. Anyway, Guadalupe said, did you copy and paste the photo onto the whiteboard? Yeah, so you can upload a photo to your whiteboard by clicking upload and finding it from your computer. I've got a photo here. I wonder if you recognize the person in the photo, maybe. Anybody know who this guy is? Who's in the photo? Tony Blair. Yeah, so Molly says Tony Blair. I like it, Molly. Ola says, is it you? Nadal. Okay. So I'm being you with hair. Very true, Guadalupe. Very true. A few years back, 10 years back, actually. In fact, 10 years ago, tomorrow. In fact, so tomorrow is a big day. Yeah, so it's not Nadal, Tony Blair. I'll take that. I'll take Nadal. So it's a wedding, as you can see. So it was me 10 years ago. I felt happy, but a bit frightened as the donkey was moving in an unpredictable way. So after the ceremony, we had a ride on a donkey to the town hall. It was quite fun, actually. But the donkey, well, I didn't really know what it was going to do. So there were times a bit worried sitting on the donkey. Yeah, why on a donkey? Well, we just started the tradition, really. I mean, it's a rural village. It's not actually a tradition to go on a donkey after you got married, but there are lots of donkeys in the village, and we thought it'd be more fun than like a car or something. Anyway, the reason I'm uploading this is just, well, to demonstrate the uploading photo feature, and also to say, well, this is a lesson on past experiences. I'm bringing it in to talk about my past experiences. It was in Spain. And also I've written a sentence here. My students then are going to, a student's going to come up to the board, identify the past tenses, the past simple and the past continuous. I got them to, to underline them here. The student can come up and do that. Underline the adjective. Can they explain what the adjectives mean? So I'm just trying to demonstrate a use of the board. So, you can write on the board and draw on the board. You can upload photos, and you can also download the board as well if you want to keep it for the future. Okay. Of course, you could also take screenshots. But another thing to mention about the board is that what you've done is saved. So you can. I mean, I've prepared my lesson here, right? I had it ready before we came into class. So you can make a few changes to the whiteboard, and the donkey represents the rough path of marriage. Just I will share that later on. When this presentation is finished, I will go downstairs and share that. As students can write on the board with you. Yeah, the students can come up and write on the board. Later on, I'll talk about the online classroom where you can give the ability for students to write on the board. That's a Oh, my wedding anniversary is tomorrow as well. Inga, happy anniversary to you too. I will, when I'm having a glass of wine, I'll say, Inga, happy anniversary to you too. Okay, good. Anyway, back to the main page. So other tools here you can use, for example, let's have a look, the area tool, just to show a certain part of the board, and you might say, for example, right, you've got 30 seconds to remember what you can about that part of the board, and then we hide it and let's see what you're able to remember, and then go back. You can also, let's just reset that, use the hide tool. For example, I might hide part of a picture and come into class and say to the students, well, what do you think? This woman is staring at something. What could she be staring at? And trying to get some language and some ideas from the students. You can also, of course, hide words and say, well, what word do you think is hidden? So you can, make your own activities. Okay. There's also a clock and a timer. The timer is useful for focusing students. I mean, with teens, I found that you do need to keep a bit of pace to them and challenge the students, say, right, okay, you've got 5 minutes to do this activity. Let's get with it. And the students are working away. Okay, a minute left. And so it's sometimes good to place some healthy pressure on students. Of course, if you need to stop and re-explain, that's fine as well. But I like to keep some pace. Also, the time is useful if the students are preparing for external exams and they need to get used to doing questions within a certain amount of time. The time is useful for that as well. Okay, to focus them. Okay. So there are also all the extra resources for teachers. So the workbook is available. So the workbook, in case your students are using a paper workbook, you might want to project it onto class and onto the board, sorry, and go over the activities. These can also be assigned online, but paper workbooks are available as well, so that you can do all the activities in the paper workbook in the same way as from the student's book. Okay. You can also access all of your resources here. Teaching notes we've mentioned. You can also get to the end matter in the book. So the grammar bank has more detailed grammar explanations. And this particular course roadmap has 4 key communicative focused lessons, which also all have a communicative goal, here describing a past experience, and they do include all the skills that have a particular focus on speaking. And then there are sections which develop out from that, called develop your reading, develop your writing, develop your listening, which focus on specific skills for those areas. So you can access the develop your reading lesson, which sort of feeds from the lesson I just showed you. Oh, not now, because there's a server error. It must be being updated from the platform. Yeah, so it can be used offline. You can download lessons to use offline as well, Anita, and then there'll be, what you do is synchronized when you have connection again. Just one more thing I'll show you within, so I'm going to save and exit. So this would mean that any changes I'd made would be saved. One more thing I'm going to show you is the assignment tool. Let's have a look. Let's see. Okay. Right, here we go. So back in the, again, I'm not going to be able to show you every single feature of the platform, but I do want to just touch on assignments, because we've looked at the kind of in-class work in the platform up until now. You can also assign content for students to do at home. And you can assign work from the student's book or from the online practice, which is the workbook content. So you can give your homework a title. Okay, and you can give the students a smiley face, of course, not a sad face. You can give them a description or a point to remember. Don't forget to, okay, and perhaps there were some irregular verbs they kept getting wrong, or a point they hadn't understood. You can also record your voice and leave them a little voice message, as I'm doing here. If you want to talk to them, so they get home and they click on what little message has the teacher left for me before I do my homework, and leave them a little voice message. There you go. So leave them a little message. Don't forget to. There's perhaps a mistake they always make. Let's move forwards. Now I'm going to choose what to set them. Again, I've got just about everything in here. So it might take me a little while to find the content that I want to assign. I'm going to do the online practice activities for roadmap. Okay, so I'm going to assign because unit 2, what happened online practice, because remember I'm going to drag it across. I did the course book in class, but now we're on the online homework exercises. I can assign it all or choose them. I can preview an activity to see what it looks like. See what I'm setting my students. Let's see what we've got here for the online homework. Okay, it's similar to what you saw before. This was practice, of course. Good. So I'm going to set them all of the activities. I'm feeling a little bit mean, or I want to challenge them today. I'm going to give them quite a lot of homework. Let's move on, and then I can choose the class that I want to assign them the work to. I might have multiple classes. I can choose the individual students. Perhaps some students need some extra work, some extra practice. I could uncheck boxes if there are some I didn't want to. Yeah, so students can record themselves speaking. So that's the final question. So I click a start date and then a due date for when they've got to do the assignment by. I can set it so they can't do the activity after the due date, set it so they can only do the activity once. Although we also have a test generator on here as well, because I was thinking that could be useful for tests. You can allow the students to upload files to accompany their work, or free text editing. And also you can enable voice recorder, which I think kind of answers Justina's point, so they can record themselves too, and then you would create your assignment. Okay, so that would be assigning content to students. Okay, time's bobbing on. So yeah, is it correct that the platform can only be used in combination with a course book? Yeah, so it's designed around Pearson courses. So they're the kind of the one and the same thing. So also at the setting, for example, test generated questions, as I said, you can add your own content to it. But yeah, it's a platform which houses Pearson courses. Yeah, so the students have to register. Yeah, I've not gone into registration today, but the students, if they purchase a course book with an online license, then they have a code there and they register through that code. Teacher can also register them. Pearson can help with registration. But yeah, they do have to register and join your class. Okay. Okay. I'm going to just talk about some of the other features now, and that is I want to talk about the video conferencing tool. Okay. You can buy a code. It's not necessary to buy course books. You don't have to buy a course. So there are different configurations, let's say. You could buy fully digital access, which is access to the digital ebook and the online homework activities. You could get access, which is for a physical student's book and digital online practice. So there are different configurations. You could go fully digital, fully paper, or a mixture of the two. Yes, so Mel is still active, but Pearson English Connect is the new platform, Justina. Anyway, I want to talk about the online classroom. Okay, so many of the features that you expect, for example, in Zoom, like a chat box or webcam, sharing screen, breakout rooms are here. You might call those hygiene features, but there are a couple of signature features that I would point out here. One's the ability to ask questions. So you can click on the question button and ask a question to your students, and then you can, well, they would answer, and you can decide when to publish the answers or not, or to make the answers anonymous. So that the problem with the chat box sometimes is that people will write something and they can just copy what each other have written, whereas this option allows you to look at all of their individual answers and then publish them. It gives students more of a chance to think and work individually. And the main feature, I would say, of this virtual classroom is the ability to assign the activities. So the content is integrated into the video conferencing platform. So you can assign activities, just like I showed you before, in the lesson. The students are doing them in the lesson, and you're getting their grades through in your lesson, and you're looking at how they're doing, the grades coming through in real time. And I can see, well, Aima, you've not started yet. Do you need any help? Okay, Paloma, I can see you've made a great start there. Really well done. So I can see who's making mistakes, who's done it all, who hasn't done anything. Is that because they're not listening, or they're doing something else they don't understand? So I get feedback on how they're doing and if they understand or not. So that's the, I would say that's the really new feature of this video conferencing tool. Okay, because remember, engagement was one of the key concerns and progress monitoring from the research we did. Okay, good. Let's look at the screenshot of the gradebook as well. I'll just give you a second to scan the page. Okay. So this is an overview from a teacher's perspective. You can dial down into a lesson, a unit, a lesson, an individual activity, and see the students' grades for that. I've just done a screenshot of an overview here. I mean, the color coding gives you a good general idea of how the students are doing. You can see their achievement in terms of their grades, but you can also see their effort in terms of their progress and completion. So, students who've not made much progress, haven't done many activities, well, that will speak to, in the time they've been in the platform, that'll speak to the effort they're putting in as well, or perhaps that they don't understand, but it tells you that something needs to be done there. Okay. The accessibility, I touched on accessibility before. This is a big step forward for Pearson for this platform. So the platform conforms to web content accessibility guidelines, the latest standards. So the idea is that following these guidelines makes the platform more accessible for learners with a wide range of disabilities, which could be low vision, deafness and hearing loss, limited movement, speech disabilities, and more. And the idea is that if content creators and platform creators follow these guidelines, you will make the platform accessible to these people, but also to more accessible to people in general, and more user-friendly, easier to use. Okay, so just to give you an example, there is text to speech. So that means you can navigate around and keyboard navigation. You can navigate around the page without a mouse, and you can have the system kind of read out. Let's have a look if I can. I know I haven't got long up, but I do want to just briefly show you what I mean here. Some learners might not be able to use a mouse. Some learners might need the content read out to them. So I'm just going to quickly go back in to try to demonstrate that to you, if I may. Okay, let's go back. Okay. Okay, so control and the shortcuts for this keyboard navigation are it's sort of industry standard. So students who use this they won't have to learn anything different. Okay, let's have a look. All right. Okay, so I've turned on my keyboard navigation. I'm going to move through with my keyboard, and I can see. Okay, so the system is telling me what which each of the buttons does. Okay. I'm going to scroll through and actually get to an activity, and you can. So I'm just doing this with a keyboard. I can. Okay, that's the activity. I can go into the activity, and I can click on an activity, and
annoying,
and I can select the answer. Okay, so annoying selected. I've selected my answer. Okay, so that's just an example of what we mean by keyboard navigation and text to speech. Okay, let me just get the chat box up. I've got just a few more minutes to finish up. Okay, so other accessibility features. So for the audio, you can set it to 8 different speeds, should the learners need that, teacher and students. There are also dynamic transcripts for all the audios, so the students can see where they are in the track. Okay, the same thing goes for videos as well. All the video content has 8 speeds and YouTube style subtitles, but also these full dynamic transcripts. Okay, there's also although dyslexia is not part of the web content accessibility guidelines, there are some features created for those learners too. So again, I'll very quickly see if I can, let's have a look. Just gonna, here we go, I'm just loading. Okay, demonstrate you a couple of those features. One of them, when it loads, I'm doing many things at once here. Oh, my internet so it's standing up to it. Okay, one of them is dark screen. So some people like to use this in general, like on their phones. I don't know if any of you use a dark screen, but the platform has that ability, or has that capability, dark screen option, and also you can fit to 200% what's the word, zoom, and fitting to width. So you can make the activities much bigger, should your students need to. Okay, should your students need that. Okay, good. There we go. So dark theme and reflowable text for those two. So again, just to sum up, the platform is available for, it works, it's optimized. It doesn't only work, it's optimized for mobile and desktop. And the promise we're trying to make is that it's an easy to use platform. It's got user experience at its heart. Program onboarding, somebody mentioned about with the codes. There will also be training webinars, because this was just, I've not explained everything in detail today. I've given you sort of an overview. There are training webinars coming up, and there are, of course, technical support, personnel on hand to help as well. And that's this service then, they're actually able to resolve 90% of queries, on the spot. You might need help with your student registration, that's available to you. So lots of support mechanisms in place, okay? Right, well, it's 11:59, so that brings me to the end of my session, just about squeeze it into 45 minutes. So I do hope that you're interested by what you saw. Perhaps you might end up using the platform one day, and I hope that it works for you and your students. Thank you very much for joining me today.